Hi everyone, my name's Sam Elkin. I'm a writer from Melbourne in Australia. So I live in the city of Victoria, and yeah, really exciting to be part of this conference on the other side of the world. I wish I could be there in person for it. I put out a book last year here in Australia, and it was also released in Canada with WLU Press called Detachable Penis, a queer legal saga. It's a transition memoir. It's also a memoir about my experiences setting up the LGBTIQ legal service, which was the first of its kind here in my state of Victoria, here in Australia, where I worked as a lawyer, basically helping anyone from the community with their legal needs for free or trying to find somebody else who could. It's set in the backdrop of the successful marriage equality campaign here in Australia, where a postal survey was implemented to try and determine whether or not the public supported the right for same-sex couples to get married. So there was a 61% vote in favour at the end of 2016, and my book starts in early 2017 in the post-marriage equality era. There was all this money going around at that time for queer and trans projects because people felt really guilty about the sort of emotional, psychological harm that had been wrought on the queer community, but particularly the trans community, who were very much seen to have been thrown under the bus during the marriage equality campaign. Same-sex marriage campaigners, very much part of their strategy was not putting trans people front and center or even in the campaign at all. It was photos of, gay and lesbian, mainly white, mainly good-looking couples, smiling, playing happy families, and they really sidelined the trans community. So that's the political context in which I have written this book. And some of the stuff that we go over in the memoir is our campaign for self-identification birth certificate laws, so that you don't need to undergo a sterilizing uh, gender related procedure to your reproductive organs in order to get your birth certificate changed. So that was a big campaign that happened here in Australia, in Victoria in particular, which I talk about in the book. I also talk about the rise of TERFs, or trans exclusionary radical feminists, being a big force here in Australia, which I know has happened in the UK and other parts of the world. And yeah, look at the kind of ambivalence I felt towards what were mainly kind of prominent lesbian people that had looked a lot like the way that I had looked, like vi visibly looked prior to transitioning, campaigning so hard and becoming the enemy of people who we shared a lot of sort of cultural traits with. So like things in common with music and taste and, yeah, movies and things like that. So that's another part of the book that I talk about a bit. I thought people in Canada might find it interesting because I think Australia is a pretty similar political system in a lot of ways. And I thought it might be interesting for you all to see what had happened in the trans rights space in Australia from 2017 to 2020, in which this book is set. It's also meant to be a kind of comedy. I'm looking at the not-for-profit industrial complex and the ways in which LGBTIQ organizations kind of fight each other for funding and, always sort of getting pitted against each other by the government of the day for very, very small skerricks of funding. You'll see that there's a crochet penis on the cover of the book. That is a packer that I got made for me by a crochet artist, Bretty Bobetti, who you can get artwork from. He's on Instagram. And yeah, to sort of it's part of an essay where I'm looking at, increasingly visibly living in the world as a male identified person who's passing as male, but that doesn't have that piece of anatomy. So that's why it's got the crochet penis on the cover. People always ask, so I thought I would answer that, given that I can't take questions I'm really looking forward to tuning into your conference. It's going to be like 2 in the morning most of the time when I'm going to be listening into your sessions. But yeah, I'd love to come to Canada one day, and I'm really excited to tune in to hear about your various exploits in trans history, and hope to get along in person one day. Um, my book is available at bookshops in Canada if you want to buy it, or you can buy it through WLU Press and Upswell here in Australia. So signing off now. Great to catch up with you all, and yeah, drop me a line if you want to chat anytime. My email address is samelkin22@gmail.com.